So today I'm gonna show you how I have set up my Novation Launchpad with my Westlicht Performer. First of all, the Novation Launchpad controlling the Westlicht Performer has two different operation mode. The first one is the pattern mode, so I have some pattern pre-recorded here, and then I can move to the sequence, and the sequence shows you the exact sequence for each track. And in my case, I have 8 tracks. The first one is for kick drums, the second one is for open hi-hats, the third one is for hi-hats, the fourth one is for snare, the fifth one is again another kick, then I have another, so to speak, a snare, then I have another snare, then I have a clap. And in this case, if I move to the sequence, the first one will be the kick, the second one will be the open hi-hat, the third one will be the hi-hats, the fourth one will be the snare again, another kick, another snare again, and the clap. So in the pattern mode, you move vertically to call a single row pattern. So when you click any of the small buttons here, the whole row lights up, and so all the pattern in that row will be played. And I usually leave the last row empty so I can pause everything. So in this case I have nothing here, so I can move from maybe this pattern here to this pattern here, which is completely empty, so it's complete silence. So let's start by maybe bringing up this pattern here. Let's move to the sequence, and so it's very simple. You see, very simple 4/4 kick pattern. Let's get play, and you can hear it. And I can also change the pattern on the fly, so I can maybe add additional drums, and you can see when I press here these buttons, the sequencer lights up. It's a little bit okay. You see I'm adding additional kick steps, and the sequencer, the Westlicht Performer, is showing up exactly the same pattern. So let's go back to the normal, and let's say I want to add open hi-hats, so I simply switch to the second track, which contains open hi-hats. I don't have a pattern in here at the moment, so if I go to the pattern, you see it's empty. So let's move to this pattern, and let's try to go back to the sequence pattern. So let's try to write down a simple sequence of open hi-hats, so like very simple like this, unusual house or techno beat. So let's add another hi-hat now. So let's go back to the pattern and move to the hi-hat pattern here on row 7, and let's go back to the sequence number 3. Okay, and you see that now all the hi-hats are playing. Let's add a snare drum. So let's go back to the pattern. Let's select the 4th pattern on the 7th row. Let's go back to the sequence and click here on the 4th row. So this will be the track for the snare drum. And let's try to add a snare on here and here. Very simple snare. That's another one. And again, you see that on the sequencer, on the Westlicht Performer, everything is by direction, so I can write the sequence here and the sequence will be written in the Westlicht, or I can write the sequence in the Westlicht and then the pattern will be reflected here. So for example, let's click on some additional here. You see I've added 3 more snare drums here, and they are reflected in the Novation Launchpad. So this is basically how I usually perform my sequencer using my 2 Westlicht. I have 2 Westlicht, one for drums, and I have another one which is not shown in camera at the moment. Let's try to show you. Yeah, so I have another one just around the corner, and this is for bass and melodies and what's not. So let's go back to the first one, and let's see how I usually perform. So I usually start from this pattern, which is completely empty, so I only have silence, and then I can selectively start each pattern I want to play. So let's play the first one. So maybe then another the open hi-hat, and then again I open the hi-hats, and then I add the snare as well. And then after this simple pattern I can move to the other patterns, but just moving around here. So maybe I want to change the pattern for the instruments, so I can simply recall the different patterns and mix and match any kind of sequence and patterns I have programmed. Or I can select a whole row which will light up every single track on the sequencer, just like this. And finally I can go back to the sequence that I have programmed at the beginning. So that's basically it. This is how I perform and how I use my Novation Launchpad together with the Westlicht Performer, which is in my opinion a very good sequencer for modular. Hi, and see you in another video.